call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:10 p.m. Please take the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Mr. Schubert?
Present.
Ms. McCall? Ms. Bennett?
Present.
Mr. Carpenter?
Present.
Ms. Haley?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 6 members present, we have a quorum.
We will now take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go any further, we want to thank Kim Pedersen, who was working behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube, live stream, and Comcast Channel 20. I also wish to welcome Superintendent Student Advisory Council Representative Paige Warner from East High School. We will now recognize and celebrate outstanding contribution of our students and staff.
And I am turning the floor over to Maureen Kirschman and the Family and Community Engagement Department. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maureen Kirschman, the manager of the Family and Community Engagement Department, and I am so excited to be here tonight and introduce Reggie Brooks Jr., who has worked very hard to reignite the Student Ambassador program that was interrupted due to COVID-19. And with that, I will hand it over to Reggie.
Hi, I'm Reggie Brooks Jr. I'm a family and community liaison with the Family and Community Engagement Department. In 2022, the FACE, or Family and Community Engagement Department, revamped the Student Ambassador Program. When the Student Ambassador Program was first established, the students' primary focus was highlighting the various facility upgrades happening all over our district due to Dr. Jarrett's 10-year facility plan. This was done by schools administering student-led tours to our community partners and community members. The program was extremely successful and established a sense of pride in students that were involved. After coming back from the pandemic, however, through an array of student surveys, panorama check-ins, and listening sessions, we learned that our students were actively looking for ways to raise their voice so that they could be heard. Though the Student Ambassador Program established a sense of pride in the students involved, it only partially did hone in on the essence of the word ambassador. Our department began to imagine what it would look like for the students involved to be empowered to advocate for and represent their peers. It was decided that we would restructure the middle school student ambassador program to do just that. The student ambassadors now follow the Lead for Change student leadership program, a leadership curriculum with a framework for community service. In addition to the role's original duties, the student ambassadors have established a need in their school, created a project centered around what they and their peers believe would best benefit the school, and are now in the process of executing those projects. This year, we have a total of 34 student ambassadors across RISA, Eisenhower, and Kennedy, and plan to upscale to all the middle schools next year, and hopefully begin to restructure the program for our elementary ambassadors. Tonight, we have a few ambassadors with us that would like to say a few words about what the program means to them. So I'm going to have them come up, and I'll introduce them. Tonight we have Galina Castellanos, Greden Morales, Jorge Perez, and Abner Gontriales. So they're going to talk about their experience.
I'm Jelena Castellanos and a student ambassador for RISA Middle School, and I like being a student ambassador because I get to show new students their classes, and I like helping them around the school, and I also like helping all the students that have problems in there and everything, and I like how all the students get together and get to help all of them.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jorge Perez. I'm a student ambassador from RISA. I like the student ambassador program because it lets me be able to enjoy being out with people and help other people who are new to the school, show them around the place, and build a relationship with them. And if they ever needed any questions or they had troubles, they know who to go to. Like, they could go to me, Jelena, Graydon, Abner, any of us, or other student ambassadors for help if they needed.
My name is Graydon Morales. I like to be a student ambassador because I get to meet new friends. Thank you.
My name is Abner, and I enjoy to be an ambassador because I get to learn new skills, and I really enjoy meeting new people, helping them, and I really enjoy to help people and meet new people, be peaceful with people, and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for showcasing the student ambassadors. Before we have our public speakers, just to bring attention to the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in a first-class education for a changing world. We are now at the petition and communication portion of our meeting when we invite the public to make comments. The board will not respond to the comments at this time. If it is appropriate, we will contact the speaker in a timely manner by staff. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 2 minutes to address the board. It is not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. 2 names will be called at one time. The ones whose turn is next, please be closer to the front. You will be next to speak. When you are the second, please come to the front and sit in a vacant chair. And that way we'll be able to devote the maximum amount of time to the public comments. If you look to your left, you will see 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted to the public comments, and one shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and for your cooperation with our guidelines. The first 2 will be Mr. Ricky Naylor, next Ms. Kendra Flores.
Let me make sure it's on. Okay. First of all, I just want to be clear about something, with the black administrators and the white board members too, that I am uniquely qualified to judge this district, as far as its racism and the lack of leadership. Okay, like if you guys want to know what leadership is, how do you try to do a diversity program when we keep seeing that there is not one Hispanic or Asian in that cabinet? So how does that even make any sense? Did you trying to do something? You can't be part of the solution, but at the same time support the problem. So you need to take a look at that. Now, my whole mission going forward here is I want to see those 2 Thurgood Marshall schools finally integrated. That these black administrators won't even sit down and have a conversation about that. Those schools are still 66% white. The school district is not 60% white, so how do you justify 24 black students, maybe 30 Hispanic students in that whole school building? Now, think I come down here just with some street stuff with these administrators. This, I'm going to leave this too. This time I only made one copy because it's 16 pages. You can make your own copies. But this is from the Harvard Business Review. It's going to tell you about how these black administrators, when they come to work, this is how they feel. Now, these ones that y'all hire, they don't want to say that because they want to make sure that they don't offend nobody. Because you offend white people down here, you don't get promoted, you lose opportunities, and you probably get treated badly. Now, I want y'all to read this carefully because these black administrators you hire, they're not going to talk like this to y'all, but I will. So I'm going to leave this here for you, okay? You can make your own copies.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Good evening. My name is Kendra Flores. My son has been a student of District 205 for 7 years, and I've been trying to catch him up with his peers with the assistance of an IEP for 6 years. Since he was in kindergarten, I've been told he can't be held back to repeat a grade. Despite his best efforts, he has repeatedly not met goals he should to progress to the next grade, but I can't get the schools to try holding him back. He is about to go into 6th grade reading at a 2nd grade level. No Child Left Behind is failing our kids, not properly preparing them for the world. Too many kids are moving on, not doing math or reading at their age or grade level. What becomes of these kids when they become adults? Our kids aren't meeting the academic standards, and I think changes need to be made to the No Child Left Behind policy because it is leaving our children behind. I'd like the board to review this policy and make changes that give parents more of a choice in their kids' education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Have a good evening. Laura O'Brien and Melissa St. John.
I'm a paraprofessional for the Rockford School District at Nash-Holt Early Childhood. We have subs that are in our building that are getting paid all of long-term sub teacher pay. They're doing para jobs. I've come here before and told you about this, and nothing's getting done. They're getting more money than us paras. They're not doing the job that we do. They walk in the building, they're going into the teacher's lounge for 45 minutes when they punch in. They don't punch in, they just sign in. They're leaving 20 minutes early. They leave before I do. They're not supposed to leave till 2:45. It says on the sheets that they're supposed to sign in and sign out that they're saying that they're leaving at 2:45, and they're not. They're leaving way before I leave. I leave at 2:30 every day, and they're leaving before me. It's not fair. And now the new sub people that you're bringing, the new sub company you're bringing in to do the subs, they're going to start paying them more. They're going to give the para subs $15 an hour. You start our new paras out at $15 an hour. Is that fair? No. If you would take that long-term sub teacher pay away from these ones that are doing para sub jobs, they were going to be regular paras in the building. And now they're not going to because they're getting $140 a day. I'm not even making that, and I've got almost 25 years in. And the other thing I have to say is my grandson, I came back here in October and talked about my grandson and his IEP not being met. It's still not being met. He's being homeschooled because she took him out of school because of that. Because he wasn't getting the help he needs, and he was getting bullied in school, and nothing was being done, and it's still not taken care of. She gets a phone call once in a while. She'll call Brett. Brett will call her back, and then there's nothing done. Oh, you're going to get a call from this person. You're going to get, and she doesn't get calls, and he's still not getting any help.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Have a good evening.
I'm here on behalf of my son with autism, and to say how I entered him into the Rockford School District and he's no longer in there because I felt that because it wasn't safe, because he was already assaulted twice, the second day of school, and then again on the playground, and nobody brought attention to that. It was me that caught it, because I had to bring him to school, so I had to talk to him before I can get him to come back to school after that stuff happened. And then after he was there, I had sit in the parking lot and I watched him out at the playground, and somebody had grabbed him and assaulted him. I tried to transfer him to a different school where his cousins go to, so that it would be more help for him, and you guys turned that down for him. And then now you wanted to put in a safety plan, and I feel that the school should already be safe for our kids, so they shouldn't have to put in a safety plan for him. So I had to pull him out of school, and now I homeschool him. And then I seen this where he has an IEP, and it said that after the movement of a public school student to homeschool, he has an IEP. You should have scheduled something 10 days after that to have another meeting, so we could have a ISP, so that you guys so that we can discuss him to have some kind of other services. And I have talked to Brett, and I said, if you guys know that you can still help him, why wouldn't you try to? And he said, I don't have an answer for that. That's a good question. So it doesn't seem like if you can help, that you weren't trying, knowing that you could help him still. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. St. John. Have a good evening. We are now on the items that proceed through Governance Committee. Action on items that proceed through the Performance Committee. Revision of Board Policy 4.0, non-public, non-graded school students, including homeschool students. Revision to Board Policy 7.160, student appearance. Revision to Board Policy 7.285, food allergy management program. Board Policy 7.140 has been pulled by administration and will be presented at an upcoming meeting for consideration. Is there a motion and a second to approve Board Policy 7.40, 7.160, 7.285?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Are there any policies you wish to? No, never mind. Stand to be corrected. Thank you. We are now on the consent portion of our meeting, which includes items previewed by board committee chairs during the Committee of the Whole meeting. Performance and Monitoring Committee, payroll, account payable, purchase orders, air travel, construction pay request log, Tier 1, computerized maintenance management system, replacing school dual, Wilson Bailey, Director of Facility Correction, IGA Governmental Agreement for Boone Winnebago Regional Alternative School, the Safe and Civil School was pulled by administration, Architectural Services, and Johnson ES Playground and Parking. A consent item, Governance Committee, meeting minutes from 4/25, contract purchase orders, prevailing wages, freedom of information log. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent items?
I'd like to pull 5C.
After you
Okay.
get the motion.
One moment.
So moved. Second.
Are there any consent items that board member wish to have pulled for separate consideration?
Yes, 5D.
You said 5D? 5D. Thank you. Please call the roll on the approved consent items not pulled.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes unanimously.
Go down to this one. So that would be 5D.
Consent item 5D has been pulled for separate consideration. Do I have a motion and a second to approve consent item 5D?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes, I have questions about the airfare costs and the hotel costs.
Mr. Youngblood is, thank you.
So particularly the questions I have are regarding the conferences that are going to be attended and the airfare costs of $1,100 for that conference for each person in attendance. Is that normal costs for airfare?
That's a budget figure. That's not typically what we would spend. It's a maximum. So we use that when we send our, when we request flights from a travel agent. They'll give us 4 or 5 different options that are much lower than that for people to choose from. Several years ago during the pandemic, when we had issues with very volatile pricing, between when people were budgeting for their trip and when they were approved, the prices would change so much that it was over the amount the board approved. So people began putting a little more room in there so that they wouldn't have to go back and wait another 2 to 4 weeks for additional approval. But the vast majority of the time, we don't spend that much money, no. Typically, we're paying between $400 and $600 for flights most of the places we go.
Okay. And my second question, well, actually, I have a couple more. The hotel costs, they were kind of budgeted really high, too. Same deal there?
A lot of that has to do with the fact that most of the time we're staying at hotels, it's at the conference center where the conference is being held. So while the hotels tend to be a little bit higher in price, we don't have the additional transportation costs on the ground. Once we get to that city, they can just take a shuttle to the hotel. Okay. And then they stay there for the entire time, and they don't have to get a rental car or taxis and things of that nature.
I guess my concern is $2,000 for 3 days for hotel costs.
I book what they send me. I might not be the best person to answer some of those questions.
And then the other question I have here is the flight request for BOE for Boylan for non-participating or a participating non-public school. Do we normally pay for conferences for individuals that are not employees of Rockford Public Schools?
I wouldn't say we do it often, and this isn't really my area of expertise, but I am familiar. We have title funding that we're responsible for managing for the non-public schools in our area. So it's federal money that's earmarked for those schools. Okay. It's not our money that we're paying.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually do book those flights for them, and then it comes out of the Title I allocation that they would get. And then basically they get that allocation, then they turn around and they would pay it back to us if we paid it on their behalf.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Please take the roll for consent item D, 5D.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes unanimously.
We are now at the closed session consent agenda, including appointment of 12-month elementary principal assigned to Carlson Elementary, HR organization report and addendum, closed session items, student discipline, suspension, appeals, and expulsion. H0117X23, the expulsion is held in advance, contingent upon an expulsion in advance agreement for the remainder of 22-23 school year and through the entire year of 23-24 school year. H0125X-23 through H0128X23. I'm going to do a correction. H0125X23 and H0126X23. The expulsion is held in advance, contingent upon an expulsion in advance agreement for the remainder of 2022 through 2023 school year through the entire year of 2023-24 school year. H0127X-23 and H0128X23 expelled for the remainder of 2023 school year, the entire 2023-2024 school year through the first semester of 2024 through 2025 school year. Closed session consent items, student discipline EIAs. 9A through F, B0017-23 through B0025-23, J and K, D0018-23 and D0019-23, 9L through Q, H0118-23 through H0124-23, and R through T, P0142-23 through P0144-23. Is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Please remember there is no discussion of closed session consent items. Are there any consent items the board member wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Please call the roll on the approval of closed session consent items.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes unanimously.
Now we will have the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Pearson. Just briefly wanted to celebrate some exciting events that have occurred. We had nearly 200 students earn full academic scholarships through our Rockford Promise program. Really grateful for our partnership with Northern Illinois University, the City of Rockford, Rockford Promise, Rock Valley, and Rockford University. I know we had some board members that were in attendance, and it was really powerful to see that celebration. And the program has grown every year. It started with one scholarship, and now over 200 are coming through each year. Two, I was so grateful to have great board attendance at the Golden Apple ceremony. We ended up having 3 teachers give wonderful speeches representing their work in their classroom as finalists for the Golden Apple Award, 3 semifinalists that were represented on stage, as well as the principal of the year. So really proud night for our school district. Also want to applaud the work of the REA committee that put together the Those Who Excel program. Again, we had really strong board attendance that evening, and we were able to celebrate 31 individuals in 7 different categories who make a real impact on students throughout our district. That was really powerful. And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't really highlight the fact that it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and it's an opportunity to say thank you, something we probably don't do enough as a society, and certainly I want to extend my sincere gratitude for the amazing work that well over 2,000 teachers do every day on behalf of our students in the district. It's such an honor to be able to work alongside those individuals and to celebrate their work this week that is Teacher Appreciation Week. We do have some recognition that's been going out at our building levels. We're trying to hopefully having some celebrations that are occurring throughout the district. We also have been doing some things on social media to celebrate our teachers, but we are truly grateful for what our teachers do in our community, and looking forward to moving from that teacher celebration to student celebrations coming up. A lot of events coming up where we'll celebrate our students as we move into commencement season, and look forward to sharing the stage with the board, our community, our faculty, staff, and most importantly, our students as we move forward into graduations early in the month of June. Thank you. That concludes my report. Board President Pearson.
Thank you, Dr. Jarrett. Are there any board member comments? If there are no further comments or agenda recommendations, I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.